In September, we talked 11 friends into going camping with us for 5 days in Jackson Hole. How did we do it? Let's start in 2010. There's a dude named Tommy that's from Ohio. Tommy and I worked at Dornans in the Grand Teton National Park for about 5 months in 2010, forming a bond that no distance and no time could break. Camping in the Tetons 8 years later, he was 100% in. This sparked the origins for the 2018 trip that will never be forgotten. Brandy was in for sure. I was in for sure. Tommy was in for sure.
We were reminded of our last big trip with friends taking place in the Dalmatian Islands of Croatia, where we lived on a boat for 7 days. We knew we had to bring people together again, but this time in the mountains of Wyoming. Carla, Danielle, and Bree were down right away. They all migrated from Texas to Denver, and this would be our starting location.
Brandy and I packed our camping gear in San Antonio and met the three in Denver. We borrowed more camping gear, rented a Tacoma on the website called Toro, and met with 3 more friends from San Antonio: Maya, Jake number 2, and Chris.
There's tons of camping options in the Tetons, but Shadow Mountain made the most sense. It's free, there'd be enough people to deter bears, and there are virtually no rules. Tommy from Ohio arrived in Jackson Hole a few days before us and had already found a great spot to set up. The camping trip had officially begun.
Ray from Dornans 2010 joined us on Shadow, and we did a little photo shoot for Ratio Beer Works out of Denver.
Remember Paul from the Sailing Croatia trip? We told him about J-Hole, and he was already planning to visit Colorado, so he made that quick and easy route to Denver. You know, the one that goes through New Mexico, up to Utah, camp for 2 nights, propose to your girlfriend, go through Colorado, arrive in Jackson Hole, and camp for a night. Yes, Paul and Katie are now engaged, and we had the pleasure of seeing them for our first night on Shadow Mountain, bringing our total to 12.
The first morning on Shadow Mountain. We started with caffeine, something that was provided to us by Kuju Coffee out of Denver. It was easy to do on BioLite's camping stove. It's wood burning and can charge your phone. Paul and Katie said their goodbyes to continue their journey north to Yellowstone and eventually Denver.
It's good to meet you too.
Yeah. So we're gonna go here, 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 and then end up here.
We ate some wet breakfast tacos, and I fashioned our luxury bathroom. Our first excursion had to be at Dornans Adventures Sports, where I worked that distant summer. And I got to see my old boss, Fred. So Tommy and I led the crew to our old stomping grounds to start the 20-mile round-trip bike ride to String Lake.
So here we are at Spring Lake. Pretty chilly, but it's a good day. Damn. Cheers.
Late in the night, Jordan arrived at our camp, making the total 10. There's something about arriving at night in a place you've never been, blind to the elements around you, then the sun rises to reveal nature's immense beauty right in front of you. The highlight of our Jackson Hole trip was the way friends could reconnect after years and years apart, as if no time had passed. These are those lifetime friends, or the till death do us part kind of friends. And speaking of death, that day we decided to hike one of the most beautiful routes in the Tetons, Death Canyon. Yummy water.
You gotta squeeze your knees.
Yeah, give me hiking.
Said I would learn to love the space. I know woman named Majestic.
You're not done.
She was a wild one, wild one. She said, come out, we could have fun. And then she wanted me to go.
Oh, I'm not going down.
She couldn't stand getting too close. And I'm curious who I'll meet next. Who among them I will love best. That depends upon the context. Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
There's the up and the down.
I knew a girl named was Mary. She was a sweet child. Her heart was broken, seemed from miles wide, like the moon over the world.
Dude, that bar was really good.
I knew a man from Golgotha. He was a giving man. He promised he would break my every day. In every way I use the word. The wall, the water, and the world. And I'm curious who I'll meet next. Who among them I will love best. That depends upon the context. Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Here we are heading into Death Canyon. Got to see what's up.
I know Jake would get all up in your grill.
Wish you were here, buddy.
And then he would wave and then look back and admire this lovely view.
Wait, I gotta do something for Jake here, because I don't have...
Okay.
Jake, this is 25 points for lack of creativity and 20 for jumping over my phone.
Wait. You gotta put your bag down.
Jake, I'm jumping over shit.
As Tommy and Jake number 2 jumped over shit on the shelf above Death Canyon, Brandy, Jordan, and I continued our descent. We could see the whole of Jackson, and Brandy fell in love with the pica packing cube she was using. This fresh company is based in Denver, and their design is perfect for organizing all of your gear. We finally ran into a familiar face and continued on the trail, making our way back to Phelps Lake, where we got to stare at the blue water one more time. It's difficult to leave such a magical canyon, especially after I spent that intimate summer becoming familiar with the Tetons more than 8 years ago. We scurried back with enough daylight to find ourselves at Dornans again, a daily ritual. The wait inside the sedan wouldn't allow us to get back to our campsite, so Jeff and Zoya drove Brandy and I up to Shadow where Eric met us. Jeff, Eric, Tommy, and I all worked together at Dornans back in 2010, so it was fun to catch up by the campfire. Those moonless nights were chilly at about 40 degrees, but our orange tent kept us warm. We heard rummaging at one point in the night, and when I awoke, I saw the damage had already been done. Someone left the window down and some curious critters had a midnight picnic. As the rest of the crew woke up, one of our patrons stopped back by for a visit. This was Tommy's day to return home, and so after a little bit of hanging, eating, and talking about the future, he journeyed west to Utah, and we rode north to Yellowstone National Park.
Day 5, the last full day on Shadow. We were down to the original 5 that rode in the Tacoma together, and our palatial campsite was starting to feel like home.
never ever leave beside me, cause I want you and I need you. Say you'll never ever let me bring it on. He's riding. Say you'll never ever leave beside me, cause I want you.
Ready? I've never thrown clothes in the fire.
Do you want to say something first?
Not really.
Okay. Okay.
Closing a chapter from Dornans. Yep, that's it.
Do it.
Period.
You can do it.
Oh, I'm kind of scared about what it's gonna do to burn things.
Yeah,
Something about it.
feels very nice. Oh, I should jump over it too.
Oh, you should just get in it.
You ready?
What's your plan?
I wish Morgan Freeman was here as he stared into the flame. This chapter was over.
To take it back? I mean,
I feel like you could still wear it.
dude, one time. Like in the fire, and it like burned the back of my drum.
That's it, real good. Jackson Hole provided for us. And those moments on Shadow Mountain were worth the effort that it took to make a trip like this happen. Next year marks a decade since the crew worked at Dornans that distant summer. Now is the perfect time to begin planning a reunion adventure for 2020.